Hi everybody, Zach here for another episode of our flagship program, the Spideydude Experience. This episode is brought to you by our loyal patrons over at patreon.com/SpideyDude Network. Pledge today and get both early access to content on the main channel, as well as entirely exclusive content, like brand new shows and commentaries for old Spidey stuff, including commentaries for the MTV series, for example, as well as the video editions for Voices from the Eyrie Gargoyles Podcast. And our Patreon first show focused on the Krakoan era of X-Men. We also want to encourage you to check out our other programs that are all available on Audio Edition. These are all over on Spidey-Dude.com, and they're available on your favorite podcasting app. Shows like Clone Saga Chronicles, the show that started this entire network, Spectacular Radio, Spectacular Sal Buscema era podcast, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, the Slot Symposium, and the sister program on this channel, Make Mine Mayday. As always, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help us big time in the algorithm. And additionally, if you have topics you'd like to cover on a live show or in a recorded medium, make sure to leave a comment down below the description or shoot us an email at SpideyDudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. Finally, make sure to join our community. Be alerted to all new updates by hitting that subscribe button and clicking on the bell. But to be clear, your viewership is more than enough for us. And if you want to hang out with us off YouTube, you can always go to our Discord, where we have all sorts of fun stuff, or you can join us on our social medias and follow us there. All the links are down in the description below. As always, we want to be making some references to visual aids and or live comments. If you're an audio listener, pay that no mind, but leave that 5-star review for us. Any and all feedback we will read on future episodes. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get rolling with this episode.
Well, I guess the intro decided to just stop working. So, hey guys, it's Neil and Zach, and oh god, I think Zach, you're muted.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Spideydude Experience. Thanks to the technical issues for, having technical issues. So this episode obviously is talking about the Ultimate Spider-Man comic book. It is the Ultimate Spideydude Experience. Before we get started, though, I do want to mention our Patreon page over at patreon.com.
We already did this.
We did?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the intro. Yeah, never mind. So thank you to our patrons already. So yeah, we really do appreciate everybody. So, Neil, quit. Like I say, thank you for watching. So far, we already got some people jumping in on board, and we don't do these episodes without just me and Neil. We've got Javi. Hello, Javi.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Thanks for waiting for me. I was finishing up listening to Spectacular Spider-Man #1, the review today. I'm like, oh, they're like, we're waiting for Javi to do Ultimate Spider-Man. So I appreciate that, guys.
But we also have, welcome back to the show, Ashley. Welcome back, Ash.
Hi.
So,
Hello.
She did not run away in terror this time.
No, I did not.
Her cam is not working this episode, so if you're watching us live on YouTube, you get to hear her lovely dulcet tones and her new microphone. She got a new microphone, so thank you for getting a new mic. So hello to everybody. If we got people in the comment section, hey, we got Ryan Reed. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
So
wait, before you go further, for the audio listeners who can't see, Neil, why are you in a Wes Anderson picture?
I live with old people.
You're just like perfect symmetry of like two doors and like Neil's head leaning down in the middle.
I
feel like I'm watching the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
I upset him by screwing up the intro, by repeating myself. My bad, Neil.
Gotcha.
He's mad at me now.
I'm seething. I'm furious.
So
Adam will be on later. I don't know when.
Yeah, we're gonna have Adam on here in a little bit, but we're gonna do a couple of news stories that are actually pertinent. Well, one's pertinent to this specific episode, and then the other one is something that happened today. So we're going to talk about it. So the date of this is March 27th when this is being recorded. Don't ask me when the audio edition's coming out yet, but when it does, we'll let you know. Follow us on the social medias. So first up, Ultimate Spider-Man is doing pretty well because it is now going for another printing, returning to shops. The groundbreaking debut issue from the press release of Johnathan Hickman and Marco Checchetto's Ultimate Spider-Man is back for another printing on May 1st. So if you missed out on getting the physical copy, they will have another one. This looks, I actually like the way the black,
With
they have
a very sexy black coating.
So these have infamously, the audio listeners, these have had the white background. For this new printing, it is going to be black where the white is. So
I wouldn't say infamously. It's more like the trade dress.
That's the trade dress, yes. Yeah. Which is kind of, it's funny. Both this version of Ultimate and the first version of Ultimate had a very distinctive trade dress. The first version of Ultimate had the two bars on them on the sides. Which, I guess I'm the only one that remembers that. Anyway. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Gary and the Frozen, he's asking what we think about the emblem on these Ultimate suits. So we'll talk about that in a sec. So yeah, Neil, thoughts about this?
On the 5th printing?
Yes.
Well, good for Ultimate Spider-Man. I think this is the closest a book has gotten to getting this many reprints in a long, long time. I think Miss Marvel, the first issue of Kamala Khan, her ongoing, got 7 reprints. This is the closest any book has gotten to that many reprints since then. So I think that goes a long way towards showing how much buying power this book has. Yeah. Other than that, I don't have a lot to say. Just good work.
Well, for me, I missed out on the first one. I got it digitally, so I have not gotten the physical copy yet. So for me, getting another printing is an opportunity. And apparently, the 4th printing, the comic shop that would have had it, because I have 2 in my town, they all got damaged in transit.
Oh my god!
Oh.
Yeah, like their entire box of Ultimate got water damaged. So
did the truck go through like a middle of a hurricane or something? Or
no, I don't know what happened, but yeah, there was some very clear. Something happened in shipping. I don't know what happened.
I'm not sure if we'll talk about the reveal that's coming in issue 4. I've got some pretty edgy zingers that I want to run by Zach before I put those into the. Yeah,
well, let's save that for next episode, because that way, yeah, because Ashley's completely in the dark on those zingers, and it'd be kind of funny to hear her reaction.
Oh no.
Professor Eskiner provides some kind. I want to say, okay, I hesitate to ever call something like anecdotal as like a dismissive thing, but anecdotally, Eskiner says that the single issue has definitely sold more than the majority of Dark Web combined at their local shops.
So the shop that I am now going to be, I officially got a pull list at today.
Oh, how
he doesn't keep a lot.
You adopted them.
I did. I finally found a home. He doesn't keep a lot of extra of anything.
Well, that makes sense considering that these books are kind of, I don't want to say slim or not slim pickings, but you never want to over order. Having inventory, having loads of inventory is never a good thing.
And so, and to be honest, comparatively, the comic shop across town has generally more inventory on hand usually. So, because I had to go to both today, but I'll talk about that. Why I had to go to both in our next episode. But he told me specifically. He said, with Ultimate, I'm going to order just a few extras to make sure I've got a few extras, because this is such a damn good book. And so I think it's hitting the zeitgeist of the retailers in a way that hasn't happened in a while. So we'll talk about obviously the specifics of the story, but we're gonna then I guess we are waiting. We were kind of trying to see where Adam's at, but
well, let me throw in an anecdote while we vamp for time. There are 2 shops that I go to where I live. One is a really big store. They never sell out of anything. Just shelves that are taller than me and just books nonstop. The other one's more.
Oh, I've been to both of those shops, I think.
Yeah. And the other one's a lot smaller, and they cater a lot to like the D&D crowd, but they've always taken really good care of me. And the big store, they had, the copy I requested and a small stack opening day, but that was gone by the end of the week. The small store, not a single issue when I got there, because there was like no interest. And then all of a sudden everyone came in and they were caught unaware. Today, I picked up a third printing of issue 1 with the Sarah Pchajek cover.
Nice.
Just because I didn't want to open up my other copy, and I figured I'd give it to Jack. And they had plenty of number 3, the different variants, but going to the smaller store, they actually had all the, not a lot, maybe 4 or 5 copies of each cover, but they actually had stuff in stock this time. So I think everyone kind of learned their lesson and are ordering a lot more. But the trick is, it's so hard to tell when you have a big first issue with all these variant covers, and how do you judge what your sales are going to be month in and month out once the speculation dies down? So it's great that we're getting the 5th printing of this issue, but let me know how we're doing issue 5, issue 6.
That's something I do want to examine, is like how big the fall off is going to be. Because I remember that this is a sort of a anecdotal case, but anyone remember US Avengers, that Al Ewing series that came after New Avengers?
Yes.
They had like 50 variant covers, like one Avenger for each of the 50 United States.
Yeah.
They had like a 95% fall off on the second issue.
Right. Well, and we I mean, I remember that with ASM, there was the one where if you ordered enough copies, your comic shop got an exclusive variant cover. And
the ratio covers,
yeah, and so there was a ton of those, and I think there ended up being like 48 different variant covers just for that one issue because of the comic shops. Because like Midtown and those big ass Mile High and Midtown, Lone Star, I think, also had it too, where they ordered enough to get those.
And it's smart that they waited for issue 4 to do another round of J. Scott Campbell covers, because while we have Gwen, that might bump it a little bit because her popularity is a lot more now than it was back in 2000. With it not being Checchetto on the art, having some variant covers to help inflate those sales again. In fact, we might not even really know where the book's going to land until we get through like the first 12 issues.
That's true. Ashley, as a not as hardcore into this as we are. I mean,
I'm just letting you guys do your thing.
What are your thoughts? If you have any, you don't have to have thoughts. If you've got thoughts, great. If you don't,
I have very few thoughts. Just in general. No, on the printings, or you have to be a little bit more specific.
Yeah. Like, what do you think as somebody that is, that understands how most of this works, but also like just from an outsider's perspective, what's your perspective on the printings? On the additional printings.
Well, I think Neil was the one that actually said it, is to see how it does, like, as it goes further into the series, if it's going to keep up that same momentum. But as of right now, I don't see it dropping anytime soon based on what I've been reading and seeing. And that's just my personal perspective on it. Mm-hmm. But, I think it's great that they have so many that, people are picking this up and keeping it, like there's so many different variants and things that have come out, and I don't see it stopping. Like, people are still picking up the variants. People are picking up all the, just different things. So I think it's great just in general.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the books to compare it to, because these are the two kind of big books that I've seen people like flocking to, Ultimate Spider-Man and this book, Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers book. This book has been actually, like, as the issues go on, they've ordered like a second printing for the first issue, as well as the orders from the initial print orders from number 3 to number 4 went up. Like, this book has actually gone up in sales the more it's gone on. So I think awesome. I think that Transformers and Ultimate Spider-Man are going to be books to kind of compare side by side and see how their sales energy continues going into the end of their first years.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I would say if you go back to, I don't know, when was Renew Your Vows, the ongoing? What year was
2017.
Yeah, 2017 to 2018.
Like that first book, like the sales for that were off the charts. And the second one also had a Campbell cover, so that went crazy.
Yeah.
But even like my we did like a jam review for this other Spider-Man site. And that review has like the most clicks of any of the stuff I've written for that site. Because the interest was so high on that, and that dwindled, especially once they kicked off the original creative team. But there was that massive influx, and then it just trailed off.
I'm trying to go through sales data and figure out like where issue 1 to issue 2 or issue 1 to issue 6 kind of had their.
So there was 20 different covers of Renew Your Vows #1. So there was there was the main cover, and then there was the variant A, B, C, D, E, and then you had the exclusive covers. There was Unknown Comics, KRS Comics had 2 different ones, Fried Pie exclusive, or KRS Comics had 3, I guess. And then there was 3 Legacy editions, and then 2 Unknown Comics editions, and then the J. Scott Campbell ones, and then there was 3. The second. Yeah. There was 3 of those, and then the second printing. So, I mean, it did, and the second printing didn't come until, and the Campbell ones, that was all at the same time. So. Like
part of it is also that sales data is not necessarily indicative of quality.
No, because everyone's trying to get
that first issue so they can sell it on eBay for like 5 times its original sale price.
And what was interesting is after the first year, because there was J. Scott Campbell covers at issue 11, and then they did the time jump in issue 13. Right. And then they had 4. They had the 5 covers for that. And then there was 2 POW Entertainment covers, 3 Unknown Comics covers, and then or 4 Unknown Comics covers. So all this information, for those that don't know, I use a website called Mike'sAmazingWorld.com. If you want to get it's a really great site. Apparently the person that created it passed away, but they are keeping it alive as part of his legacy. And it's just such a great resource. I use it all the time with Make My Mayday. And so, when you brought that up, I was like, oh, I can throw that up. So,
you used to be able to go to ICV2 and see sales data, but post-COVID, when everyone went their separate ways,
and they're also
you can only look at it if you're a pro. I'm like, I'm not paying for this.
Well,
there used to also be the Diamond whenever Diamond was the only distributor, you used to be able to get the order numbers from Diamond. But now pretty much everybody is telling Diamond to go piss off. So
doesn't Marvel have aren't they with Penguin now?
They have left Diamond. Everybody's left Diamond except for Image, Dynamite, POW.
I think Dark Horse is Dark Horse with Penguin now.
I think Dark Horse is about to jump. DC jumped a long time ago. They were the first ones to jump during the pandemic, and then Marvel went Penguin Press with the. I know they went with it on the trades, which is why the trades are no longer named the way they are. They changed the naming scheme of the trades. So, I guess the first Spider-Girl, modern day epic, has actually.
Oh, that's why they renamed them. Okay.
Because it's all through Penguin Press now, not Marvel themselves, since they licensed it out.
I was looking at the released so far covers that J. Scott Campbell has done for Ultimate Spider-Man #4. I don't really think I enjoy the man's art as much as I used to, but I gotta give the man credit. He has figured out how to get his whales and make a bunch of money with the least amount of effort possible.
I do like homages, but this man will go to the well And here's my thing. I would love to see like a J. Scott. There was supposed to be a J. Scott Campbell, Jeff Loeb Spider-Man story. The fact that never got made, and they got pretty far into that story.
Well, no, but think of it this way. So, okay, the man gets commissioned like what, $3,000 per cover to make like a cover of just like MJ smiling and doing a sexy pose at the viewer.
If we are to believe some things that were put out on the internet that we weren't supposed to get privy to, but yeah.
But that's me shooting into the dark. But
Right.
then Marvel lets him sell directly off of his website in bundles that he'll mark like the one cover for like $100 a cover because he knows he has whales in his audience that if MJ's on the cover, they'll
pay
go unga bunga. Me want MJ.
It ain't just MJ. It's Black Cat. It's MJ. It's
But I'm using MJ. I'm using MJ as a point of reference just because. Hi Shazam.
Hello.
But I'm mostly using MJ as a point of reference because, like, MJ being with Peter is sort of I don't want to say a hot commodity, but it is sort of a selling point of Ultimate Spider-Man,
right.
and Spider-Man as a brand. So when they see that cover, they don't look at the $100 price tag. They see the pretty redhead and go, "Oh boy, thing to put on my weird shrine." And they'll pay
the Helga Pchajek shrine.
They'll pay the 33 times markup.
Yeah, looking
at
like
glass houses need not throw stones as I point to my giant wall of shit behind me.
Yeah. Well, he does the tiered cover thing too. So looking at ASM 25, which is one of the most recent ones, all of which have Gwen, MJ, and Felicia on it. A cover was $42, B cover was $72, C cover was $58, and D cover was $125. And usually it's like you can only get like the D cover initially, like as part of a bundle with other issues. Now that everything's kind of sold through, like now you can get it by itself. That's $125 for a specific cover.
Well, like I said,
that's only limited to 2,200 copies.
Well, and part of it is also that by selling directly through his website, I think J. Scott Campbell gets a bigger cut of whatever profit the cover makes, rather than selling it through a distributor.
Yeah. Like so basically,
let me add this on his website, which I went and found. He has the Ultimate Spider-Man 601 homage cover for Ultimate number 4. There's a waiting list for it.
Well, it's because it doesn't go on sale until Saturday.
That's true.
Yeah, that's why anything that he's already kind of announced but hasn't gone for sale yet, it's on a waiting list until the actual sale date, which is this Saturday.
And so this is the first cover. The A cover is the homage to 601, the Redheaded Stranger cover that he did.
And this is limited. This is a limited run. So that he's gonna. I don't want to say he's gonna mark it up because I don't know if he's going to. But I get the sense that in a limited print run, people are going to be like, willing to shovel over a lot more money than they normally would for
what they're going to do. And then
it also depends on if it's signed or unsigned, because he does give that option. I think it's like $25 or $30 more to have him sign it, and come with
but having MJ in the Space Seal storage bag T-shirt special, people will pay a lot of money for that.
with the it's not as look the what is it called? The boob socks are not as bad.
The mommy milkers.
That came from the chick, so we can't even be mad about that.
I know you guys are tiptoeing around it, and I was like, I'll say it for her.
Well, so our friend Kelly has the phrase about boob socks, where like when they're like the bolt-on tits, and she calls them boob socks, and I'm like, yeah, but no, mommy milkers. I mean, that's our next T-shirt.
And then we also have the homage to ASM 606, which
yeah.
Also, someone Eskiner pointed out that the cat in the 601 homage is named Felicia. Peter exercise caution.
Bro, that's a recipe for disaster.
But I mean, is that actually the truth, or is that just what Campbell said? Because Campbell's the one who said it, But until we actually see a cat in the comic, like, I mean, it's all for fun.
Until Anthony Blackwood at Marvel PR calls the cat Felicia, we are safe
Yeah.
for now. But we're
maybe
keeping an eye on you, Peter.
Maybe I should email Anthony tomorrow. I'll be like, hey, so is the cat on the cover named Felicia? He would delete my email.
There's something that irritates me just a little bit about that cover, and I don't know if any of you noticed it.
Sure.
But his daughter's feet bother the crap out of me.
She looks like she's wearing like elf shoes.
Yes. I don't know why it does not fit in. Like everything else is like great, but I don't
Still
like...
better than Rob Liefeld feet.
That's the lowest of hanging bars, though. So speaking of low hanging fruit, I'm sorry, that's a terrible segue. Hello, Adam. Ultimate Adam has joined us for the show.
Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. It's a jungle out there, and I had to beat an old lady with a stick to get to read this issue.
Where are the cranberries? Yeah, that's what I thought.
There you go.
Anyways,
before we move on from that cover, I just wanted to say I really love the homage in the homage of having Stegman's variant cover as the wall art instead of whatever it was in the original version.
There's like a picture of Peter and MJ.
Oh yeah.
I also got to give the man credit for actually that looks like the logo is actually hand drawn and it's not manipulated.
Oh, like photoshopped on.
It's not photoshopped on. It looks like he actually, like, obviously the Marvel draped dress in the corner.
So Zach, this is coming from your graphic design friend.
Sure.
They probably have like a PNG of the logo, and they just warped it to make it look like the Amazing Spider-Man logo.
That's fair. So, okay, now that we've got Adam here, Adam, brief thoughts on the 5th printing of Ultimate Spider-Man. While you're doing that, I'm gonna go top up my drink.
Mute yourself.
Well, let's see.
I should probably move away from the.
I keep thinking about how that article I shared with our group chat that was like, yeah, it's a big seller, but it could have been more. So it's like, oh yeah, they could have ordered more the first printing, but I think it's good that it's getting a 5th printing. I guess people want it.
Marvel kind of fumbled with the marketing on this book. They didn't really do a good job of explaining like this is a new Ultimate book that's not part of the original Ultimate universe. So,
well, I feel like they didn't really. Well, they didn't explain what it really was at all.
They kind of just assumed people would read Ultimate Invasion, Ultimate Universe, and considering how many times I've had to explain who the hell Captain Britain is in issue 2,
it's okay.
Clearly not.
I mean, people will figure it out.
Marcy, I forgot to talk about what Marcy posted earlier. They said that it is strange to see Ultimate being sold after End of Spider-Verse is practically falling off the shelves due to lack of sales. Okay, so this is not incorrect. Dan Slott's adjectiveless run did not sell particularly amazingly. I don't think it sold poorly, but I think it didn't move as much as they thought it would.
It's gone into the superior stuff,
and
Spider-Man. The problem is something. It was advertised. The initial part of it was the 7-part or 6-part End of the Spider-Verse,
right?
And then they transitioned to like a Electro story,
two issue arcs.
Yeah, there was 2 arcs to it, and then they split the baby, introduced Spider-Boy, and then Superior, and then split the baby. So you went from a single title to 2 more titles because they had twins. And
well, Marcy is including is putting in End of Spider-Verse as the conditional for sales of that length. For
it's just.
Well, also here's
I
something
think there's
important.
Fatigue on that type of story. I'm sorry, I just think there is. There's been so many Spider-Verse, Spider-related events that I think people are just kind of sick of it.
They need to take a break.
Yeah,
it does not.
But they're gonna do something because of the movie, and it is.
I was talking with some friends, and we were talking about the new Spider-Verse event with like Star Spider, the one with like Spider-Man on a spaceship. and Weapon Web or something, with the one where Peter is like a Weapon X character, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so on paper these are interesting concepts.
It's cool, but we don't.
But in execution, who cares?
Yeah, agreed.
Just really quick. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. We're so close. We're
literally one sub away from 600. So
it's been like a week and we haven't gotten to 600. So please,
it's kind of
please
weird.
take pity.
It's
Take pity on us and just
Give me 1
everyone
second.
subscribe.
Give it the mercy sub.
Hang on. There's 3 people watching us on the binge right
I think.
now.
Well, I think after this episode, we'll get a few more subs.
Yeah,
I've had a feeling about that, but I've watched it for like a week and it hasn't moved. I'm like,
Dude.
come on, please.
Well, I'm working on something that hopefully will move some gears. Probably
Yes.
not, but a boy can dream.
Well,
Whenever
listen,
you put time into something.
just be sure to like, share, and subscribe to everything we do. And
Please.
so,
For
Okay.
Dog and Gog's sake.
Okay,
exactly.
I guess moving on, we're going to cover this one kind of quickly because we're half an hour and we even talked about the issue we're supposed to be covering today.
Yeah, we were kind of trying to stretch for time so that way you could be here for this, Adam. So yeah,
Thanks, I
so
appreciate it, though.
The Spider Within, a Spider-Verse story, was an official short film that was released. This has been talked about for months. A lot of people thought this was going to be in the DVD or Blu-ray or the 4K
Why
release.
wasn't it?
Was it?
No, why wasn't
Probably-
it? Come on.
Probably wasn't
We thought it was going to be.
finished.
I heard rumors it was going to be attached to Craven, like as
Well, I heard about this like before the movie came out, so I figured it
Right.
would be attached to the Blu-ray DVD.
Yeah, I did too.
thing. So I don't.
I
get
think a
why
lot of
they-
people did.
So
now they're also-
if it isn't in the Blu-ray, I don't know why it wouldn't be.
What is the
Okay.
Kevin Love Fund? Does anybody know?
something about
No.
mental health.
Let me do some research.
My guess would be, Adam, because they, notoriously worked them
So
so
Kevin-
hard to get the movie done that maybe
Right.
they, cut them some
Oh,
slack.
they had
and
to.
give them
yeah,
the
they had to-
time to finish this.
Yeah, they had
Sure.
to because the movie I
But I
think
thought this
was
was already done though.
sure.
Yeah,
I
it's-
thought,
Again-
I heard about it before the movie. I thought it came out before the movie did, but maybe I'm.
Now,
I'm scared to play footage of this, so I'm just gonna leave it on a blank YouTube screen.
So the Kevin Love Fund, for those that
There
don't
you
know,
go.
is
There we
mental health challenges. It's basically there's a Spider-Man lesson, and they use I guess Miles Morales Spider-Man. So there's a partnership between Sony and the Kevin Love Fund. Kevin Love is he still playing? I don't know if he's still playing. He was a player in the NBA. He played with the Cleveland Cavaliers, won a NBA championship with LeBron James when they won in 2017. So he was also formerly of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then he's kind of bounced around afterwards. But he infamously talked about his mental health. He's one of the first NBA players to do that, and so it makes sense considering the context of this particular short, which deals with mental health, that they would be teaming up to make it into a fundraiser. So they've raised a couple $1,000.
This may be me being a Debbie Downer. So good on the people who have raised $2,500 for this. Sony is a multi-billion-dollar mega corporation.
Sure.
Maybe they could donate some money.
I think they're
probably
going to
could.
match. I think they're matching whatever is raised.
Yeah, but
I hope so.
But you're kind of putting the onus on people, on regular people who live paycheck to paycheck to donate whatever scraps they can to mental health awareness. We'll match it. Well, congratulations. What if you don't match that? What if you don't make that much initial batch and you only match like $1,200?
Yeah.
This isn't me saying that Sony is doing a bad thing here. I applaud them for highlighting mental health, but they are literally a multinational corporation.
According to Wikipedia, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, sure.
The film debuted at the Annecy International Animation Film Festival June 12th, 2023. While
Okay.
debuting the short, Sony did not disclose how or when they intend to release it to a wider audience. It will be released on YouTube on March 27th. So
All right.
Basically,
so it's been done for a while.
Yeah.
no. So
No,
Which
yeah,
is
I remember
then
hearing about it.
I think
why
again, why wasn't it on the freaking blue? Okay, so all right.
how
So-
much you want to bet that like
Well, I mean, they
someone
couldn't
just
raise
got
money
it?
if it was already attached on a Blu-ray.
That's true.
So
Because
someone,
someone-
and they didn't release it around Madam Web because, well,
you don't want that attached to Madam Web.
They'll they'll
Yeah.
release it on the Beyond the Spider-Verse Blu-ray, maybe.
Oh, I bet you. Or the next
I
two
hope
pack
so.
that they do with the first two films, because you know they're going to do a 2-pack Blu-ray on that. They'll probably include it in there too.
After Miles gets his ass kicked by Beyond the Spider-Verse, he's gonna need the mental health
God.
awareness.
Jesus Christ, Neil!
I mean,
I'm not
That's dark.
wrong.
he's gonna win somehow.
Ashley, your
um,
thoughts?
I have no thoughts right now. I'm good.
Head empty.
I'm just listening to you guys go at it, and it's extremely
Oh
entertaining.
man.
This is my entertainment.
She's got you can't see her right now, but she's like the Michael Jackson meme with the popcorn.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
to go back to the Spider-Verse thing real quick, I'm gonna make this quick, I promise. There's an ad in here for Edge of Spider-Verse #4, which I'm gonna make myself solo, is advertising the Jessica Drew from the Across the Spider-Verse movie.
because you
So I
demanded
guess
it.
I guess they're making this a separate Jessica Drew. It's one of those things where I don't think Sony and Marvel are in like close enough communication to tell what's going
could be.
on.
It could be
Well,
the same
no,
because they did do the PS4 Spidey with Christos Gage. So
Just because it's Jessica Drew doesn't mean it's the same Jessica Drew. Just like Peter Reed Parker's not Peter Parker, or Amazing Spider-Man Andrew Garfield
Yeah.
Peter Parker, who doesn't look like
That's-
Tobey Maguire Peter Parker.
Yeah.
That's
So-
true. The thing about the Spider-Verse
actually.
characters is that they're supposed to be, to me, to kind of thematic amalgams of the broad history of characters. So it's
Sure.
weird that like we're kind of taking Jessica Drew, filtering her through sort of a compression to get the one that we got in Across the Spider-Verse, and now we're compressing that one to get back into the comics, or to get this or something approximating Across the Spider-Verse Jessica.
Can I
into
go completely off topic just for 1 second and
Sure thing.
derail everything?
We do it all the time, so feel free.
We just hit 600 subscribers.
Hey!
Thank God.
My-
and dog,
my
and
friend-
dog.
Yeah, my friend Kevin's like, there you go. There's 600. So thank
Oh,
you,
wow.
Kevin.
yes,
Thank you, Kevin.
Applause.
Can
Applause
I
line
take-
for that.
Can I just take this opportunity as we hit 600 subscribers to say, Javi, your new glasses look really good.
They do.
Thank
They
you.
look
Thank
amazing.
you.
Kind of like an
I
owl.
appreciate that.
Yeah, they're very
Thank you.
distinct. They're very distinguished, my friend. You look like
Well, thank
the only
you.
thing that's missing right now is like
I'm old.
the only thing that's missing right now is like an old pipe, and then you would look like Leave It to Beaver.
Oh,
Dad.
I thought it was different. Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Not that type of pipe.
It's like Javi, don't worry. I still feel sort of young, but I've had glasses for like the
I need to
majority
get
of my
a new-
life. So
I need to get a new prescription.
So I love how Tevia's like, it
It's
still
okay.
says $5.99.
Hit the refresh button, bro.
So Tevia asked about Mayday Parker Spider Girl. Okay, so we have a similar problem where Mayday in the movie is going to be like a compression of just like what if Spider-Man had a child. So if we did that, we would essentially just be getting. Anyone remember those Chris Yolopoulos, Franklin Richards cartoon
Yes.
bits?
Yep.
We basically just be getting that
Oh, yeah.
with an infant. I don't want that for Mayday.
But there's more
Anyways.
than one Mayday. That's just how I look at it in my
well,
own.
there's more than one.
headcanon.
There's more than one. There's more than one May Parker, daughter of Peter
Well,
Parker.
my
and Mary
point
Jane.
point
That's
is
true
more
too. Yeah.
my point is more that the Mayday and Across the Spider-Verse is meant to be sort of a compressed
Sure.
abstract.
It's supposed to
of-
be
That's-
kind of a amalgam of
daughters.
both
Well, and that's what
Mayday and Annie.
that's what the movies kind of probably should do. I mean,
Well, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but my point
Yeah.
is that Tevye
It doesn't negate.
advocating.
It doesn't negate the what if Mayday though that
right? No, it doesn't.
had 100+ issues in Spider Girl.
Yeah.
But my
Well,
point
she's
is
always going to be the GOAT. There's no doubt. But like, adaptations are what they are. So adaptations always, I like to think, try to pull from the best of the character that they're adapting and try to, put
But
that
my-
into a medium that's going to be easily digestible for a mass consumer audience. So I don't know.
My point was more that I think Tevye is arguing let's do the Jessica Drew movie treatment to Mayday and like do a double compression.
Yeah. We'll see what happens when we get to the next movie. I've said this
it's going to
several
be
times.
fine. It's going to be fine.
Mayday, whether it's baby Mayday or actual Mayday, there's going to be a Mayday in the movie. We already know based on the end of the previous movie. She's going to have a prominent role. She was basically a glorified cameo.
Okay,
There's no, yeah. All right, let's move forward.
Real quick, Tevye, I don't know what Madam Web has to do with this. Anyways, moving on.
Okay, so my final thing before we do move on to the bulk of the episode. Final thoughts on the short. I'll start with Ashley because you haven't really given. We really didn't give any thoughts. So
we just talked about things around it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. That's why I was like, before we move on, we probably ought to talk about the actual thing. So Ashley, you just watched it.
I thought you guys were going to watch it. We'll talk about it before.
We did.
Go ahead, Adam.
No, I haven't even watched it.
With Adam.
I haven't watched it at all.
Okay, Javi, go.
I thought Adam was one of the ones who was like, it was fine. Because we had the
No, I didn't. I
was like, it's fine. And I'm like,
I mean,
it's dope.
I'm sure
what are you talking
I
about?
think it's awesome.
There's not much to it. There's not much to it. So
No.
to describe,
It's a short.
It's 7
I was
minutes.
not planning on watching it for this.
It was
I will
6.
say, like,
It was only
Okay.
6 minutes. Half of it was just like music and stuff.
well, maybe I should have
like,
watched it
Andrew.
then.
It is okay. So I was
So
wrong.
to kind of give a brief description of it, should I do that right
I
quick?
thought this was going to be like a 20-minute thing.
Miles has a nom flashback. There you go.
So Miles' dad was going to watch scary movies with Miles. Miles has had anxiety over his double life as Spider-Man. He tries to, go in his room, has a nightmare that has a giant spider trying to eat him, and kind of representing the anxieties that he has being with his dual identity, and kind of has a sort of panic attack / dream. And so kind of shows that even superheroes can get anxiety sometimes. And
Is it the giant spider from Wild Wild West?
shut up.
No, because it's not mechanical.
Maybe.
It's not mechanical, and it's not 18 feet tall. And
I don't know. It seemed pretty big. I don't know.
When
That's what she said.
the trees start saying flip, flip.
Bro.
I'm sorry.
As far as like shorts go, it's compressed, right? So there's not the depth of storytelling from a long form. I don't think it's going to win any like Academy Awards. Like if they throw it out for next year's short film.
Oh, you
stuff.
know they will. Come on.
I mean, there's some really good.
It's animated.
I said win. I didn't say
Oh,
nominated. I didn't win.
Yeah.
If Across didn't win, and that was more
This won't.
innovative than what we saw
this
here.
won't.
This is just
Yeah.
it's more of the same, but that's not a bad thing because it's still
Right.
interesting to look at and beautiful and well done. But it's not gonna. It's nothing new visually that we haven't seen in 2 movies already. It's just a lot of cool imagery and him dealing with, like we just said, the pressures from his home life, from his school life, from his spider life, and it all just kind of ganging up on him in one moment. And what I really loved about it is, because I mean, that's something that all of us deal with in some way, shape, or form or fashion. But the way that they chose to interpret it, with it being manifest as like this shadow creature, which then turned into like a giant spider, which then was a whole bunch of little spiders. Like, to me, it was the closest we've seen to like that Kraven's Last Hunt type of storytelling, where JMD like shows you imagery and then gives the subconscious vibe. And there's a lot of nightmarish stuff that both Peter and Kraven go through with spiders in that storyline. And that's what it reminded me of a lot, and why I really clicked with it as a short film. I just thought it was really cool, and harken back even to like the recent spine-tingling Spider-Man, where there's a whole nightmare sequence on the subway, and this had echoes of that too.
Agreed. Yeah.
But I thought it was really well done for what it was, and I enjoyed it.
We got.
I give it an A.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'll give it an A. I mean, it's an A. Like when I said it's fine, I'm like, there's not. I mean, there's stuff to it. There's layers to it.
Yeah.
I was kind of riffing when you said it, when I said it's fine, and then you were like getting
fine. I feel like when people say fine, it's like, well, this is.
It's like a B.
Meh.
Yeah, that B at least, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took it a little bit different than some of you guys did on the more mental health side of things, and like how, because I struggle with anxiety myself and all of that and how it manifests.
Mhm.
I took it that way and not just like, oh, these like nightmares and things like that. It was more of the awareness towards the mental health and what the struggles are, and how sometimes it's so consuming and overwhelming that it projects in other aspects that you don't realize that it does. So that was my take personally on it.
Yeah. Neil, your take?
I thought it was good. Knowing the behind the scenes stuff, which was produced in the inaugural year of their Leading and Empowering New Storytellers program. I think it's good that we got some, new voices to tell a story that, maybe not a lot of us have gotten the chance to tell, mainly because it's not a voice considered normal in the Hollywood storytelling mechanism. Radiac said that the animation and the storytelling aren't showing the quality. I disagree. I think it's limited budget. Probably didn't have a lot of time to work on this, considering how rushed and kind of crunch laden the production of Across the Spider-Verse was. But I liked it. It was good. I'd give it like a B+.
Okay. B+, A from B and Javi. Ashley, would you like to give it a grade?
I'd say it's like a B+.
Okay, B+. All right. So now we've wrapped
just
that
like
up.
one last thing on it too, like when it comes to that subject of like mental health and anxiety and panic attacks, like what better superhero is there to talk about it, to tackle it than Spider-Man? Because he's always dealing with that kind of stuff, and being pitched as like the everyman superhero, like that's the guy you want. You want it to be relatable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Completely agree. So, all right. I made a marker because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clip that and make it its own like little video later on, because I know people are gonna want to see that. So I definitely we wanted to cover it. We wanted to take our time on it, and do it justice. So thank you again for everybody watching it. And let's move and shift gears. We are now to the main event of the episode, issue number 3 of Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, normally, Mr. Neil is giving the recaps, but
thought I'd give it to Javi for tonight.
A request was made.
Well, Javi wanted to do it.
I was gonna say,
Neil
you stepped all over my intro on this, Neil. God damn it.
Neil was also like, I don't know if I'm gonna be here tonight.
Show respect for the comic.
I know.
Don't beat the crap. The comic did nothing wrong. Beat the crap.
I know.
out of me.
Such a great comic. Anyway,
I love it so much. Bangs it on the desk. Great.
I love it so much. I give it an A. Bam, bam, bam.
Let me know how that grading goes later.
it's now a 9.
Well, if it's CGC, it won't be a problem.
They just round up. It's fine.
They gave it a 10 for loving damage.
So
I love Exile's comment right now.
Yeah.
He would never do this for ASM. That's how you know he loves this book.
No, yeah. That's why I want Javi on this. That's why
Okay,
that's
ASM.
That's why I'm like, we got to get Javi on this show, because he actually likes the book and wants to read it. And Yeah.
That's true. I do.
ASM is a struggle bus right now. Okay, let's just.
I
last two-
said like behind the scenes, I'm like, I'm out. I'm not doing this.
Well, I mean, Neil, like I've been thinking for a while, Neil, if you don't like the book, you should step out.
I've been trying. I've been trying.
Well, you
to leave.
don't have to. I mean, you did. I know you tried to do it a year ago, but and then you came back for
year
some
later.
reason.
Is there anyone here?
One
So
year
it's actually
later.
like, hey,
Problem-
boys.
here's what's been happening. The problem is
Neil
that
is
I
the
can't find
Godfather
enough-
Part 3 is what it is.
Can't get out.
Just when they think they pulled me out, there's things when I think they're out. I screwed up the damn
Spoilers for the next ASM episode. I think that these two issues were decent enough.
Agree.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that next week.
Get my booze out.
So
Oh no.
that being said, Javi made a request to do the recap. I've been trying to get to this for the last 5 minutes, but we've been dovetailing inside.
We're riffing.
Well, it's been like 2 minutes, I think, but
So, ladies and gentlemen, to give the recap of issue 3, Javier. It's all yours, buddy.
God, that makes it feel way more important than it is.
I know.
Spidey picks a costume with the help of his daughter, then fights Bullseye and the Green Goblin. To be continued.
there you go.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, writer Johnathan
Second
Hickman,
recap.
yeah,
All right.
artist Marco Checchetto, color artist Matthew Wilson, and letterer VC's Corey Pettit, editor Will Moss. Do
There
you
you go.
want the slightly longer version, but not much longer?
I liked your
just
too
for
long didn't
context?
read version.
Oh, well,
So
I mean, there's
for
like
context-
there's
so, yeah,
the,
we
you
should
know.
probably explain to the audience why we're laughing so
Okay.
hard, because
Yeah.
Paul has been advocating for like short ass recaps.
As you
Meanwhile, you've got
Paul
me,
wants people to
who-
read it for themselves, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I understand that element,
I'm
but there's
getting.
also,
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
getting more into that mindset. I just feel
we need
like
to bring
no.
we need to bring the funny though.
No, we
but
don't.
also there's also the from the standpoint of some people like how the flair that we bring to the recaps.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. I understand both sides of the argument, and there are people that like to follow along and read with us. So that's why we
But
do
here's-
the detailed recaps.
Here's take 2. It's March, and Spidey picks a costume with the help of his daughter, while MJ and Richard wonder what's up with the two. Later, Peter heads to the new and still unnamed offices of Uncle Ben and Jonah, spotting in the corner, it's all connected map. Peter puts 2 and 2 together and decides to stake out the Daily Bugle to see if he can run across the Green Goblin. After 2 days of waiting, the Gobby and Bullseye fight. Spidey jumps in, but Bullseye drops a crane on him. However, it's a trap, and Spidey takes him down, allowing for Gobby to apprehend Bullseye and incarcerate him to parts unknown. Gobby then pairs his suit to Spidey's, removing the wall crawler's mask. Gobby proceeds to take his off as well, and the duo introduce themselves to each other.
That's the most interesting part of this issue.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun. To
I
be
just wanted to,
continued.
so for people who are confused by that, remember that in this universe that Oscorp acquired Stark Stain technologies, and Tony gave Peter a Picotech Stark suit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So,
that's how Harry has control of Peter's suit, is because it's proprietary.
I'm not going to make Ashley go first, giving their thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Adam,
He's
Ultimate Adam,
learning.
I'll eventually figure it out. I've only
Oh,
done this for 15 years, but what do I know? Adam, your thoughts on this particular issue?
Okay, you're okay.
I don't know. I read this pretty fast because I was like, oh man, I got to get on the show, and I haven't read the issue yet.
Is that why you were late?
Yeah.
Oh, Adam, I'm sorry.
Today went differently than I thought it would, but it's cool because I went to the shop and I picked up the issue and a couple other things, and yeah, it's cool. Anyway, yeah, this is cool. I really like the I mean, I read the preview. I like the Peter and May scene, and I thought it was really cute that she suits up when he's trying to figure out his costume. She's got her goggles on and stuff. That's cool.
You know, I think it's great that Marco Checchetto took the time to design like 5 new suits for Insomniac to put in their next game.
They won't. No, they. Oh, I do like. Well,
You know,
They
I hope
will.
they do just for that, Neil.
I like. Well, I do like that the variant covers have a purpose now, more or less. Because I was thinking about this. I thought about this after we did the last episode. That I said this about Zeb Wells' ASM1 and ASM2. I was like, well, the ASM2 cover feels more like the cover for ASM1
Yeah.
than, because the ASM1 cover is just a pinup, and I was starting to think that about this Ultimate stuff. Like, I felt like actually the Ultimate Spider-Man 2 cover could have been the cover for Ultimate Spider-Man 1 because it has Peter in his like outfit that he's wearing when he's at the Daily Bugle in issue 1, and he's got his glasses on. It's got Green Goblin looming in the background, and it's got Spider-Man over it all. And I was thinking like, oh, that kind of also seems like it could have been the issue 1 cover, but anyway, they want pinups for issue 1. I get it. But I'm glad that now the variants have a purpose, because we see him going through variant suits to try to figure out what he wants his costume to be. Anyway, I thought the issue was pretty good. It goes by pretty fast.
It is brisk, yeah.
All of a sudden, Bullseye shows up, I feel, out of nowhere, kind of. And
I disagree. He's been kind of built up in the background as like one.
well,
of
no, yeah,
Kingpin's
well, he has been
villains.
built up in the background, but there was like him and Green Goblin fight, and it's like, all right. And I thought it was really interesting that Peter and Harry now know who each other's secret identity is. So, yeah, interesting issue. I'm invested.
Okay. Okay. Adam, did you give a grade?
Not really.
Zach, you're muted, so we can't hear anything you're saying.
I'd
We'll do grades
probably
at the end.
okay.
Oh, okay. Javi, what are your thoughts?
I really loved it. Shocking nobody, I guess, judging by the comments. I love the family dynamic that we're seeing. I love Checchetto's art. I love how he draws this version of the classic suit.
Yeah.
And the stuff with like we're not calling it the Bugle, but we don't know what it is yet, stuff was interesting to see, like how there's just the dynamic between Peter and Ben and Jonah.
Right.
It's not something we've seen before, and it's a totally different vibe. And to then go into like him staking out the Daily Bugle, part of it reminded me of, I think it was Spider-Man 13, where he's like hanging out in an alley waiting to find out why the homeless people are disappearing. And he's just like hanging out in webs eating donuts. And part of that, I felt that vibe with this, and there's just the whole idea of like 2 days of him waiting for something to happen. Because that's really what it is. Like the movies make it seem like exciting, and he's just getting really bored. And right when he's going to give up is when the thing happens. And the fact that while things didn't go well with the Shocker,
hang on, Hobby. So for those that are watching on the Comic Binge, because they're about to start doing their stream, and we're simulcasting on both.
We're gonna remove it. If anyone's interested in continuing watching from the Comic Binge, head over to Spideydude Radio Network, the channel, and I'm gonna remove them from the podcast.
Sorry, guys. I forgot that they were also broadcasting tonight, and so normally it's fine, but we also want to make sure that we're not
Stepping on toes.
So,
all right.
Oh well, never mind.
I took care of it.
No, I was gonna say thanks for watching to the Comic Bench people, but
okay.
you already removed them. All right, let's go.
All right.
I'm
So
gonna put Twitch back on. So There we go.
I liked after, how things went with the Shocker, that things went a little bit more his way in this issue, and keeping up with this is all familiar, but totally brand new. Like, I love the reveal at the end of how, okay, they still both know who they are under the mask, but they don't know each other as Peter and Harry. They don't have this history. So it makes this, whatever this new relationship's going to be that we're going to see next issue, like completely fresh and original. And there's the whole question: are they gonna become friends? Are they gonna become best friends? Are they gonna hate each other? Is Peter gonna be okay with wherever the hell Harry took Bullseye? So there's just a lot of questions and a lot of intrigue, and I'm excited to see how this whole dynamic continues to form.
Super Gitmo. Oh, bye, Zach.
Maybe
Zach went to Super Gitmo. Okay, actually,
I think there was some dialogue that I was like, "Oh, this is kind of funny," in a weird way. But
was it them grabbing a drink together? Because I think that's adorable. Like,
I'm all down for that. But there was something that seemed kind of.
Hickman has a very dry sense of humor, and I think it fits Peter and his cast very well.
I like how he writes Peter for the most part. I think it's ideal. I think I like it better than ASM right now, honestly.
Oh. Well, I mean, he feels like an adult. He feels like a 40-year-old.
Yeah.
So
an almost 40-year-old. Yeah.
So Tevia asks if Harry is going to betray Peter Parker. Okay, my take on this is that Hickman loves to do his very abstract meta themes, and I think one of the big ones in this book is going to be power as like a concept and how we interpret it. So I think that Harry is going to start off being a righteous crusader against the Maker and his council, but I think at some point, considering that Howard is off the table as far as being the person in charge of North America, that he's eventually going to be corrupted in some capacity and brought into the loop, and Peter's going to have to stop him.
Man,
I don't know. I don't hope for that though. I kind of like seeing Peter as like this middle-aged, guy with a family and everything, and making a new buddy. Like, I'm excited for that.
I like it, but I'm thinking in terms of like what would Hickman do? Because
you're on the realism for it.
Hickman's not a one-trick pony.
Bless
Damn,
you.
Zach. Hickman is not a one-trick pony, and he does love. He's sort of like Greg Weisman, that he loves his theater. He loves his Greek tragedy.
I do like the dynamic of Harry and Peter meeting so early on, and they don't know each other beforehand, and now they have this mutual secret. Because I think what I liked about and what I love about Checchetto's artwork here is the furrowed brow of Peter.
Yeah,
where he's like, I'm starting to notice that. Like, that's a subtle thing in the artwork, but it's like it this is where we've talked about this privately, but we'll say it publicly. Sometimes you got to let the artist cook, right?
Yeah.
And Hickman, with very simple dialogue in this scene, really allows Checchetto to convey the emotions in a way that not every artist can pull off.
And just thinking about it right now, like, Harry knows the secret before MJ does.
Yep.
So how is this gonna play out?
That's
it was
in the next issue or two.
You could say,
like, Peter, like, how do you know this Harry guy?
That's before the retcon in ASM, technically Harry did know before Mary Jane.
Okay, so,
I'm just because
they weren't married then, though.
True. Yes.
Yeah. And at the time, but also at the time,
I'm just thinking of a parallel right now. Like, this is we're in the 70s right now.
I didn't think of this. Eskimar made a good point that a huge red flag is that Harry forcibly removed Peter's mask. It's kind of played for laughs that, like, Harry has access to Peter's Stark tech, and it's like, oh, what a goofy thing.
That's a violation.
It's
a violation of privacy, man.
like that's a huge no. And you know, Harry does unmask himself as like a show of trust, so they have leverage. But I think that plays into how Hickman really loves his Machiavellian characters and how they kind of strategize and jockey for power. You see this a lot in his X-Men books and his Avengers, but he loves the idea of characters having like power dynamics with each other. And I think that Harry and Peter having that relationship is going to play long term.
I will say this: you talked about the cover, Adam. This one actually conveys what's actually going on in the issue.
Yeah, this one does. Yeah,
It's not a pinup.
It's not a pinup.
It's good that they
random
it's-
characters thrown on.
It
the
is.
front.
It's actually really good that they changed
Wrong.
it because
Yep.
Yeah, because
I
I
do
mean,
think
you were
do
talking
think
about this.
two. I think 2 should be the cover for 1 if we're being realistic here.
Yeah,
But
just issue 3.
I don't know. I just realized that after we did the show on 2, it's like, oh wait, the issue 2 cover kind of fits for issue 1. But anyway,
So for those that did not get the main cover, this is what it looks like. For those that are audio listeners, sorry.
It was originally solicited. It was originally solicited with Peter fighting the Kingpin, but
Yeah, it was a
changed.
different cover.
yeah, which is not. That's
Which is
interesting.
what,
That's
5 or
interesting.
6 now?
It's 6 now.
It's
Yeah.
issue 6. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Maybe-
oh, sorry.
I am going to throw a couple. I do like the way that the scene plays out here at the very end here, with the way it's drawn. But I absolutely adore
Oh
this.
yes,
Can I-
yes.
can I
I
say
saw
something?
that. I saw that. I was
Yeah.
like, "F yeah, man!" I was
Can I-
like,
can I say
"Hell
something
yeah,
about this
F
scene?
yeah!"
I
Go ahead.
love that Peter lets his
Great
daughter
splash page.
choose his costume for him. You know, I was talking with people on
Yeah,
the
it's so
other
good,
on the
man.
other on the other Discord about how like people were talking like, oh, it should have been MJ who designed his costumes. No, that's pedestrian. That's cheap. I like that Peter is keeping a secret from his wife that will inevitably create drama in their relationship, but he's strengthening the bond with his daughter by letting her kind of choose how he presents himself in this new form. I love it.
But it's
Uh,
also him leaving out his son, and that
I think
also
that's
is
gonna play into that. I think I
Yeah.
like that dynamic of like, you know, I don't think Peter's playing favorites intentionally. It's because his daughter is in on.
I mean, she
stumbled
caught
into
him,
curious.
so like now
She's younger and
in
more
it.
curious.
What I like about this is that although they advertised the marriage as like this big part of component, it still is just a thing and not the thing. And I'm sorry for the marriage stands that are in the chat, and I know who you are. Okay,
We love you.
we love you, we adore you, we appreciate your viewership, but
There's more to it than that.
to me, Johnathan Hickman is basically obliterating the arguments that were made during Brand New Day,
Mhm.
not by like telling you, but by showing you. And that's what I like about this book so far. And I think for a lot of people, when they got rid of the marriage, they made all these excuses as to why. But it was really one guy that wanted the marriage gone more than anybody else. And that one guy was the editor-in-chief of Marvel. So Hickman comes in, and I think he's approached it in a very similar way to JMS, where it's not a bug, it's a feature. And I think by slow burning it, there's going to inevitably, I think in the first 12 issues, there's going to be an entire issue devoted to MJ. I just do. I think that's going to occur.
I'm hoping for that. Yeah.
There's going to be like a spotlight where the majority of
Well,
the
they're
issues-
gonna do Harry soon in 5, I think. So
Yeah.
I think they should do. And I want an annual that's like, oh, how did Peter and Mary Jane meet in this universe?
That would be dope.
And let's
that
see that relationship play out. How does
Well,
this guy who stayed being Amazing Fantasy 15 Peter, sort of for the most part, how did he meet Mary Jane, and how did they fall in love and decide to be
life goals,
together?
baby. Hashtag.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to point out that like I think that one of the strengths of Hickman's writing is that he doesn't do like the Conway thing during Renew Your Vows where he like goes, look how great the marriage is, look how great the marriage is, look how great the marriage is. He treats it as like
I mean,
an everyday but
I don't really think I'll push back on that. I don't know if that wasn't my
if not
takeaway
Conway, then
on
at least the
Renew Your
marketing.
Vows.
If not,
Well, yeah, that was.
Conway,
I think
then
that was
the
probably.
marketing did it.
I would say that was the
Both?
marketing. I don't think Conway really was like, oh, look how great the marriage is. I feel like Conway was like, they're a team in Renew Your
Yeah.
Vows. At least the first.
But,
Well, the
two
whole
but
years
concept
of
of
that.
Renew Your
Or
Vows,
not 2
and
years, but like
her-
first year of it.
well, and the whole concept of Renew Your Vows, her suit is intrinsically tied to his powers and their
Right.
proximity to each other.
So
So
they
that's
have to be. They have to be like a team.
yes.
I
And
do
even-
like that.
I was gonna say, even narratively with that book, the first book was Peter's perspective, the second issue was MJ's, and the third
Yeah.
was Annie's.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it kind of shifted after that, but I don't necessarily think it was, Bed of Roses or In Your Face. I thought he did a good job of balancing it, and we're seeing a lot of comments in the chat about the balance right now. And it's got to be a tough thing to juggle and where you want to show your focus, because these people
Yeah.
are already established, and how do you bring the audience up to speed with them? And I really like Adam's idea of doing doing an annual to kind of
That would
flesh
be- that
out
would
their
be-
backstory.
My
think-
point.
I think that's what you do.
Go on, Neil.
My point was more that I don't think Hickman treats either the marriage or Uncle Ben as like a sacred cow. Like, he just kind of treats
Sure.
them as everyday things. Like, I love that Peter doesn't have
Yeah.
he doesn't have Uncle Ben on like this pedestal. He kind of like, he's willing to talk shit about his uncle, who in the
Right.
comics we know is dead. And I think Hickman benefits from Uncle Ben being dead, so he can play with something different. But
Sure.
I enjoyed that Hickman. It's easy to fall into the trap of like Rogue One, where like they show like all these cameos and like zoom in on the cameos and like, oh, look at this is important. You remember this thing from the other movies, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think Ultimate Spider-Man shines. It kind of just treats them as everyday things. Like Javi said, it's a function, it's a feature, not a bug,
It was
or
me.
something to highlight. Oh, sorry, Zach.
Yeah.
That was me. But no, I mean, talk about that scene with Peter, Jonah, or as we have affectionately referred to them as, Brokeback Bugle. The origins of that with the new office. Like, I love that MJ bought them a plant, and Peter comes in and he's like, "This sucks." Like,
Yeah.
this is straight ass.
Like if this was an ASM, Peter would have been like going, "Wow, Uncle Ben, this is so great," and like
how many
kind of picking his words. And in this universe, Peter's just like, "Nah, this sucks, man. Do better."
So okay. Do you guys remember the movie Accepted? Does anybody remember
Sure.
this besides me? Where they
Is that
basically make
Is that the Jonah Hill, Justin
Yes,
Long
yeah.
one?
Justin Long, Jonah Hill, and it's
Yeah,
where they make up
I've
the
seen
fake
that, yeah.
college. Yeah, so
Yeah,
they
I've
make up
seen
the
it,
fake
yeah.
college, and they went and got this like freaking insane asylum, and half the comedy in the movie is like how shitty this place that they got is, and I got that vibe reading this scene. I was like, yeah, this like Ben is like, well, we didn't, but I like. I mean, we've joked about it, but I like the interaction between the two. It's not been as big of a thing, but I like that there's been a scene with these three or these two in every single
Right.
issue.
Yeah.
They get now on one hand, it does kind of come at the expense of MJ. MJ is I think
Well-
appear in one page each issue, and that's it.
Yeah.
But there is,
But
but at
it's
least
fine to
there's
me, I
that.
think.
I will say at least there's that. There could be
Yeah.
like nothing. I'm
I know.
sure there will be
like ASM, where we talk about what supporting cast, and then to contrast that with
Yeah.
Spectacular Spider-Man, where they actually create a supporting cast out of thin air.
which
We're
I
like,
will
oh,
say, to be fair, ASM right now, these last two issues, now there are Spider-Man characters in ASM. So
shocking.
yeah,
That aren't just other capes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just other.
But
I think-
to the point of MJ only being in a couple pages in this issue, I'm kind of fine with that. Like, it gives the family stuff, like I said, isn't treated as like a sacred cow. It's kind of like married couples coming and going with their kids.
Exiles does make a good point. There was a big scene in issue 1 because they had more pages.
yes,
I mean,
yeah,
frankly,
exactly. I was thinking about that too. It was like a double-sized issue, so there was
Or
a little more of that.
I think it was extra 6 or 7 pages.
No, I
I
think it
think-
was more than that.
It's like 44.
Yeah.
Oh, is it
I
really?
think
And there's been what, like 20?
22.
20
So it's
22,
double, it's
yeah.
double page rate.
But I think in these 2 pages, MJ has a lot of character. I know we kind of quantify character development by page count, but I kind of appreciate that MJ has a lot of character and personality, even when she's only showing up for 2 pages.
Yeah.
I also want to say something too that's I think unique about these books, and I don't know if it's I didn't pick up the other Ultimate books, but usually we have different cover dates for the books.
No, yeah,
These
it says the cover date on the issue. Yeah,
the cover date is the actual ship date on these issues, and I'm like, that's
I think
kind
they've
of
changed. I think they've changed it to that.
Well, which makes more sense. I'm sorry, the whole adding 2 months on the cover date.
Well, but they don't actually put the cover dates on the issue anymore, except for these books, from what I've seen. But they're actually putting the actual month that the book comes out on the Ultimate books. So that's interesting, actually. I think it's because they don't want to. They actually do want this to appeal to new readers, and they don't want to confuse them.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly. I also like that each issue is taking place in the month that it's
out. Yeah.
Well, it does a
real
good job.
time.
It does a good job of implying growth for Peter. Like, it's been like this many months, and Peter kind of does a quick little recap in the second issue. Like, in the last month, he's grown a lot as a Cape, as like the first real superhero New York has. And then in March, it's just kind of Peter's kind of pretty much figured out how to do the things, how to use the powers, but he's kind of ironing out his identity at this point.
Yeah. Also, the page, and I forgot to pull it, but the page where it's the 4 day, the same panel basically 4 times. I love how it's a little bit of the Parker Luck in these panels, like the whole rain
when he's waiting.
Yeah, he's just
bored.
He's just bored and like eventually just get rained on. He's like, I love that Peter just like is like, I'm 2 months in, I'm quitting, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm tired of this.
I also love that it kind of represents the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man in a very subtle way, and it's like, oh, that's refreshing. Like it's just, I think the best way of describing these 3 issues so far from me as a longtime reader, as somebody that's jaded, is refreshing. And I've heard that phrase used a lot. And so I think, people inevitably, because we get the same question every episode by certain people, why isn't this going to replace ASM? It's not going to replace ASM, guys. It's not. ASM is it's its own thing. It's its own train. It's its own engine. The train is on the track.
This is pretty different.
I didn't notice this. Eskinar pointed it out. He makes a little web house for the pigeons. That's cute.
Yes.
I didn't.
He does. That's cute. That's very sweet.
Yeah.
I think just for marriage fans, because it's been such a dearth of seeing that relationship, that now that you're being given it in a monthly installment when you're used to ASM being 2 or 3 times a month, like it feels so dragged out when really it's not. It's all like a matter of perspective. It's just because we've been wanting this thing for so long to happen, and you just can't get enough of it right now. But I think, like, I'd love to see more of their relationship, but I think for what we're getting, like, we're getting a good amount of character development.
People are forgetting,
even though it's not.
Sorry.
I think we're getting a good we're getting good insight into this Peter's head.
Yeah.
And where he's coming from.
He's got like a lot more candor than the 616 Peter Parker. Like the scene right now, with Ben and Jonah, like I can't picture that Peter talking to them in the manner that he does. Well, that's what
flight
sarcasm that Neil was talking about. Like he relates to them differently, and like that's interesting.
So, Ashley, you're kind of represent the common person, right? Outsider, more of an outsider's
perspective.
perspective.
A peasant, like I'm the commoner here.
No, you're a casual. There's a difference.
Listen, I'm not trying to. I know we were talking about Bridgerton yesterday, but dang, commoner. So you are just simply the person that's one of the servants.
I'm not getting involved in this, Jesus Christ.
So sorry, it's the AB conversation. You guys can see your way out. Anyway, so my question to you is like somebody that this is brand new, right? you're coming at this with fresh eyes. We're coming at it with old jaded eyes.
Is that me or you?
That's me. It's me. I keep trying to freaking fix my options.
Because I thought I muted it. So
No, it's because it's coming through my computer. That's why.
well, and Marcy also brings up a good point. Oh, sorry. I'll bring it
Okay.
later.
No, put it back up. I was like,
They
can't
made a-
do that.
They made a good point that MJ not having a huge role makes sense at this point, especially with like a lot of world building to be done, especially in like Black Panther and X-Men.
Right.
These books have a lot of lifting to do, especially Hickman, because he's the one who's kind of
So what okay, as for somebody that does not read the Black Panther or Ultimate X-Men, enlighten me, buddy. What's going on here?
Well, X-Men is on a totally different continent.
Okay,
well, so
what's
is
the
So
thing
continent
about-
as we know it in the Ultimate Universe.
Again, what is the thing
Not
that
continent,
she's
but
referring to
country.
on issue 2 is what I'm trying to understand.
I think they're talking about the Killmonger stuff in Wakanda going to war with Ra and Khonshu, or at least Ra and Khonshu's representatives. I need to go back and reread it, but I think that's what Marcy's talking about, is the sort of world building that is
Okay.
being done around Wakanda in Africa.
Okay, because like I'm like, what does MJ have to do with Wakanda? Is my question.
You know what's
Marcy's,
gonna be
Marcy-
cool?
Mar-
Go ahead, Neil.
Marcy's point, I think, is that these three soon to be 4 books
Right.
have a lot of world building and heavy lifting to do as far as plot is concerned. And Hickman is balancing like 5 or 6 different plot points already 3 issues in. So it makes sense that MJ doesn't have a huge role. Like I said, they're not
Right.
treating MJ as like a sacred cow. So, she's not getting a lot to do, but I'm sure she will, especially considering what we know of next issue.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Because there's
I
going to
want-
be a whole.
Yeah,
like
let me.
according.
What I wanted to say is like it's going to be interesting next issue because I think we're going to get to know. Well, we're going to get to know MJ and the supporting cast, Harry and Gwen. Spoilers. A bit more because they're going out to dinner together.
And the
Okay,
only reason
That'll be nice.
They included preview pages, unlettered preview pages.
So Marcy's specific point was the prophecy that was introduced to T'Challa that implies he will get
Oh.
together with Storm, and they just met.
Got you. Okay. All right. Cool. So Ash, I mean, just kind of give me. You've kind of peppered your thoughts in, but like from your perspective, what did you think about the issue?
Oh, I've been saying my thoughts this entire time.
I know, but-
Like I said, I've enjoyed it. I love the aspect of him with his daughter. I love the aspect of him, with Green Goblin and that whole thing. The only thing that I am not a huge fan of now looking at it, like, now that Neil has opened my eyes about it, I mean, he was kind of, I know he was kind of outed.
Yeah.
Not realizing it in like that negative aspect, but that was also the first person outside of his daughter who knew who he was. And I think that was kind of a big deal that he didn't get the opportunity to put himself out like that he kind of had that taken away and was kind of forced to, like show his face in that part of it.
It's a dick move.
I didn't look at it like that at first. So it was nice, like getting somebody else's perspective. Cause I was like, oh, okay. It was a joke, like with the suit and like the proprietary, like aspect of it. And I saw it as a joke, but then like looking at it from other angles, I'm like, wait, that was kind of asshole. Like that was not nice of him to do it.
To also be fair,
Harry's a rich kid, so
to also be fair, it's very similar to how the Green Goblin found out Spider-Man was Spider-Man in the 616. I mean,
that's what I
Norman.
said.
Did you? I didn't remember. I'm sorry.
Well, I said. Well, no,
You
I
said
said.
something.
I said it was like Harry figured it out. Well, Harry was like rummaging around Peter's. After Norman died, Harry was like losing his mind, and he found out that Peter was Spider-Man, and then he blew up their apartment.
Yeah, but I was talking about like
That kind of
Norman and
thing.
Peter. That's what I was more referring to, is like the original Green Goblin, stalking Peter.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, he gasses him, and then he figures it out in 616.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the parallelism. I think with both Harry and Norman and Peter is there between the 616 and here.
I like
I
the
like
team up with them too, like against Bullseye.
Yeah, it's
Bullseye.
Bullseye.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like the
somebody
team
didn't
up.
I gotta say, yeah, someone didn't like the. I think the costume's cool.
I'm
I think
going back
the-
and looking for it.
I think the
Yeah,
mask and helmet. No, don't single them out.
Well, Hero Mode
I mean, I
Podcast,
think the-
hello, new subscriber. So
I think it's a cool suit. I mean, I don't know. I like
I-
a nice mask. Like some people were saying, oh, it looks too much like something. The
I like the
it's-
parachute pants.
I saw people were saying like, oh, the mask looks like Deathstroke's mask in the Arkham games or something. It's like it's a. I feel like it's not a.
guys, I mean, everything looks like something. in
It's
other
not like
games.
a. It's not a. It's a
to
design
that.
that's. That can. It's a malleable design. You know.
Frankly, it makes
think
it
it
makes more
works.
sense here because of the fact that you're talking about a guy that's an assassin. He's not going to sit there and have half of his face exposed.
Some
for
bright
stealth
colors.
reasons.
Yeah, some bright
I
colors.
like it
look
better
at
than the
me.
616 costume, that's for sure.
Really,
You know,
Javi?
like
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the 616 costume is it's cool. I mean, it's a supervillain costume. You know.
Well, that's
I
what
don't
we
know,
also
I've
have to
never,
we
I've
al-
never been a
we-
fan of that outfit for some reason. It
We-
just
we
never
also have-
gels with
Interesting.
me.
We also have to
Interesting.
recontextualize Bullseye in I guess the strain of universe that 6160 is. This is not a universe with traditional superheroes and supervillains.
Yeah.
This is like a literal guy in tactical gear who's an assassin for Kingpin, who kind of passingly has a Bullseye as a gimmick.
with kind of a sort of a literal and metaphorical snap of the fingers, we went from the 616 is what if the real world and the Marvel universe were basically the same, and now boom, all of a sudden we have superheroes, supervillains, and the different power dynamics that Neil likes to allude to with Hickman, kind of being manifest, and it's very similar in that way to the original Ultimate Universe. And I think that it got to the point where the Ultimate Universe was just playing the hits, and that towards the end, by the time Hickman came on originally, I think it was too late to do that type of course correction.
Because Hickman came on at like New Ultimates after Ultimatum, right?
I think he came. Yeah, it was around the same time that Miles debuted.
Marcy has a
think-
good observation in the chat that the New Ultimate is probably closer to MC2 because there's already a history that we're not familiar with. That I thought was
Yeah.
pretty interesting. way of
Well,
looking at
and
it.
we, as we've pointed out on this very network on Make My Mayday, there's similarities between this and the original 616, or between the MC2 and the original 616, and then there are differences that we've pointed out multiple times, because a lot of people just think that they were the exact same histories, and then they had this very clear divergent point, when it's not necessarily the case when you actually go back and reread everything. So I agree with Marcy on that, and she's also a big MC2 fan. So thanks, Marcy.
Well, and Escanor kind of building on that is that the original Ultimate Universe, we kind of got to see the beginning of the superhuman arms race, as it were. Like we got to see the Ultimates and the X-Men and
Yeah.
the Fantastic Four at the beginning. Here, we have the context of like makers interfered so much that no superheroes exist.
This is
Yeah.
kind of the middle-ish.
Yeah, this is like, to make an MC reference, this is like phase 2.5.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
that's
we
true.
have. Well, the thing is, we have the prologue, and we
The Ultimate
have
Invasion, yeah.
we have the prologue, and we have kind of like not, I guess not the middle, but like 15 years have passed, or 20 years have passed rather, from the prologue.
And it would be interesting to see, because do we?
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm
do we
saying.
do we have a Reed Richards? Is Reed Richards?
Oh
still-
yeah,
It's-
he's
it's
Doctor
Doom.
Doom.
It's
He's Doctor
Doom.
Doom.
He's the guy from Ultimate Invasion wearing the Doom mask.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's. I mean, that was kind of implied, but I didn't know if it was ever actually implicitly said.
Yeah, in issue 2 of Ultimate Invasion, or no, wait, is it
Which-
issue
what a-
2 or
oh,
3?
which is the
maker
ultimate-
introdu-
You talk about dick moves. That's like the ultimate dick move by the maker to throw him
Okay,
in the
to
Doom
be
costume.
fair, the maker is a petty little bitch, so he
I mean-
would do that to himself.
like to take your double and be like, I'm gonna throw you in the Doctor Doom freaking armor.
It's kind of like taking your double and like throwing him down a smokestack.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a round of applause for Javi.
Speaking of the maker, I think that people who are really enjoying like the slice of life stuff. I don't want to say slice of life because it's obviously like, you know, Hickman doing his Machiavellian stuff with like a family dynamic coat of paint. I think the moment Hickman has the maker wander out of his little mushroom city in the middle of Latveria and just smugly smirk at the camera, your world's gonna be rocked if you're just paying attention for the family stuff.
Listen, there are certain people that are reading this book because of
I feel like
marriage, and
I saw someone say
that's the only reason you're reading. Again, feature versus bug.
I did see someone say
I agree with you, Neil.
Hang on, let Adam speak.
Well, I saw someone say that would probably be in an event book, and I do.
Oh, that was
like,
McNulty who said that, I think.
Yeah, I think it was, and I mean, I agree with it. That would probably be in like Ultimates. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, there might be some bleed in the other titles, but
you're correct. Here's my counterpoint.
Okay.
Hickman loves the maker. There is no way that the moment there's no way that the moment that fucker doesn't come out of that mushroom, he's not jumping at the chance to use him.
Well, and again, here's what'll happen. There will be the maker wars in like about at like the end of the year or like next year, and there will be like a one shot that ties into like a big event.
Look at Neil. Neil has a fan.
That's a very close personal friend of mine. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, hello, Jess Punk. If you have not subscribed, please do
now subscribe. Damn it!
I think he just did. I just refreshed.
Sweet.
But going off of comments I made in conversation with McNulty about the maker coming back, is that you know, a majority of the people are reading for Peter family shenanigans, and I'm using kind of like the layman as like a template to go off of. Yeah. I think people, even if it's mostly in Ultimates, not in this book, they're going to get a kind of a rude awakening when they remember this is a Hickman book. Because you know, with the people who were confused about Captain Britain, like Josh didn't know who the hell Captain Britain was when we were talking about last issue. And they didn't know what the hell was going on with like 7-Eleven with the memorial.
Oh, thank heaven. Oh wait, that's the
well, for those who were confused,
that's the convenience store. Sorry.
Well, the big attack on New York or whatever New York is that killed a lot of people. That's kind of like a pseudo 9/11 in this universe.
I'm kind of curious. I wonder if the 7-Eleven attack is like if they did.
Oh no!
Was there a 9/11 attack first, or was that the first?
I think that's their equivalent of 9/11.
This is probably the stand-in.
Because at this point, Maker has basically secured like everything. Like he's basically got the Earth in a petri dish. He's got like small scale wars going on as like an illusion that things haven't changed with the council.
Right.
But I don't think anything of that scale, because like I said, everything's under a pressure scale so that the Maker can control it like a petri dish. I think that the Hulk using the Stark Stain orbital cannons was their equivalent of like a mass terror attack, because they blamed Tony for it.
Gotcha.
I do want to say it makes me wonder like how long this will actually go. Like I said in the first episode of this series, because I mean, I want this to keep going. I think it's an interesting idea, but I do wonder, like, I guess if the sales are good, we'll see.
Oh my god. Bro.
That got dark for audio listeners.
Yeah, I gotta explain it for the audio listeners now because.
Oh my gosh.
That's why Neil's off the rails again.
I'm so sorry for you audio listeners. You got to go to YouTube and watch this.
So
but-
sorry for Adam. He was making a point.
Sorry, Adam.
I'm sorry, Adam.
Yeah.
We're gonna mute
Well,
while
I
you
was
talk.
I was just saying that, like, I'm thinking about what I said in the first episode. Like, I wonder where this is gonna go. How long this universe will last. I mean, I guess as long as the fans demand it, you know, and if the sales are good. But like, what's the end game? What's the plan? Because this book in particular has like little things that are tied to the world at large of this universe that I feel, you know, you go back 20 plus years ago, the original Ultimate Universe was just kind of its own thing. Well, the original Spider-Man, like, it kind of stood on its own until like Nick Fury came in and all that. And even then, it's still, from what I've read, it's still pretty much kind of its own thing. But this is planning. There are some seeds in these 3 issues that are like, or at least the first 2, they're like, oh yeah, there's some. The world at large is looming over this, and well, because it's this whole different thing. It's not planet Earth as we know it necessarily, how the continents are governed and all that, if that makes sense. So I guess I wonder, like, is this going to be, you know, a glorified event? Maybe, I don't
An
know.
event, we just don't even know it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Here's my counter argument to that, and I hope this doesn't happen. But I think if the sales and the reprints are any indication, and
It'll last for a while.
this continues to have the sustained success, I am both hopeful because I'm enjoying the book,
And
but I am
concerned.
also slightly concerned because anytime, as the podcast that started this very network can tell you, when the sales department gets involved and tell you to
all hell breaks loose.
to stretch a story that was supposed to be 6 months into 26 months, it causes some problems. And so I hope that Hickman, you know, is given the latitude to tell his story. You know, like how Javi talked about, you know, his dissatisfaction with ASM in a YouTube short we did, and it was also part of the episode. You know, you were giving the Wells the benefit of the doubt. Similarly, I want to give Hickman the benefit of the doubt and allow him to tell his story unabated.
Sure.
But if they're going to start trying to stretch this and do what they did with Krakoa, Neil, you can jump in on this. You know, there was probably a good solid endpoint, and then they just kept it going. And I don't know if this is going to be able to go on indefinitely, but just let the cake bake, which is a good phrase that I hear a lot of times in like sports. You got to let the cake bake because sports is, you know, there's all the ingredients. You got to let all the ingredients come together and let the cake bake when you finally get to the season. And I kind of feel it the same way with this as well.
To go off of Marcy's comment in the chat, sort of, it would be interesting if like there is a kind of maker war that culminates with all the characters in this universe banding together and defeating him. It would be interesting if they defeat him, where does the universe go from there?
Nature abhors a vacuum, which is always a big storytelling element, and that goes to Professor in Santor's point. Which what happens when Fisk gets taken down? What's the next step? Is it somebody like a Tombstone? Is it somebody like a Hammerhead? You know,
I'm interested. And well, speaking of Spider-Man villains, I'm interested. I have been thinking past couple days, like, oh, I wonder what Doc Ock's like in this universe.
What, you know?
So let me ask you this: do you want that though? Do we want to have every villain be one we've seen before, or do you think they should try something new? I mean, when Bendis made the first Ultimate Spider-Man villain, it was Geldof, and
Yeah,
I don't
but
think we've ever really seen him since.
I want to see Ultimate Big Wheel.
first of all,
Well, that goes without saying.
Bendis was talented at a lot of things. God damn it, Neil. Creating characters out of whole cloth was not Bendis' strength, even in other stuff that I've read with Bendis. I got a feeling Hickman has a different type of talent, and I think he would be able to make some very interesting new characters. The problem is would he be willing to do that, knowing that it's going to be IP created wholesale, full cloth, that he'll never have full ownership of? That is kind of, the catch-22.
I'm
So-
mostly interested in seeing like the old villains interpreted in a new way, like Doc Ock, like
Mhm.
Venom. I've kind of thought about Venom a little bit. There's
somebody
all this-
mentioned at the very beginning of the episode, is this suit basically the stand-in
Yeah.
for the symbiote?
Yeah,
It-
I think that's been. I
I
think that's been
kinda-
running.
I honestly hope not, because I don't know. I feel like that's too well. I mean, that'd be interesting, but
It'd be a bit of a small world syndrome kind of thing.
yeah.
I do want to answer the question that Gary the Frozen asked earlier. What do we think about the spider emblem on the Ultimate suit?
Oh,
See,
I
that's-
have I have opinions. Hold on, let me say this. So
You got a
I've-
full frame Adam on that one, Neil.
I do. So I've liked the emblem, but here's my problem with it. I've kind of thought that it's to me it looks like we get context for it with May's drawing that it's
Mhm.
essentially the bottom circle is the head, and then it's the abdomen with the legs. But how I've read it this whole time, since we've seen Checchetto's art of the first cover and every other time he's drawn it, I've thought of that head as the abdomen, and I've kind of thought that like I've been like, well, is the head the abdomen, or is the abdomen like the top part? Like, because there's no, it's not the usual emblem as we know it. And I've been thinking like, well, if the head is the bottom part, which to me is so long that it looks like the abdomen, it reminds me more of an octopus actually than a spider. But I'm willing to kind of let that go, I guess, since we've had the in-issue explanation of like, oh, his daughter drew it and it's supposed to be a spider with the head pointing down and all that. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like if the bottom part is actually the head and not the abdomen, which I've thought it's the abdomen, it kind of looks a little more like an octopus than a spider. Because I've been reading it as like, oh, the bottom part is still the abdomen, and the top part just doesn't have like the little fangs or whatever at the top. Yeah,
I think when you look at it through,
do you guys get what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand what you're trying to say. I think when you look at it through the like the actual
like look at our background on this video. Like like I feel like the bottom half of our background, that's kind of like what, and this is the abdomen of the spider. That's what the symbol of the ultimate suit looks like to me a little bit. It's long enough that it looks more like the abdomen instead of the head, but I think it's supposed to be the head, which I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it being the head, but it just kind of, if it's actually the head, it looks a little more like a cephalopod.
So, I mean, Vinkman in chat, he said he thought it just was the emblem that was just of the old school Spider-Man emblem from.
Well,
the
yeah,
70s.
me too. Me too at first.
Yeah. But I also, when you look at the U in Ultimate, like on the cover.
No, yeah, but that's slightly different, and because I get that, and that's why I'm thinking, oh yeah, like, but it's the thing is like that to me. You look at that, you look at the U in Ultimate, and that looks more like a spider head than it actually does on the chest of his suit.
I wonder if when we
I'm
see,
being very nitpicky, probably, but it's just But
Listen,
it's also like, but I feel like it's
pedantic nerds. Oh my god!
But I do feel like there is. It's like I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like I have a point. Like there's a length thing where like people will think one thing and it's another thing, you know.
So I have a theory. If I can kind of dovetail off of what you're saying, Adam.
Sure.
Because also, I mean, there was a funny comment about the logo is bad, but he's only keeping it because he doesn't want to tell Mayday she can't draw.
I like that. Hang on. I like that though. I like that it's not like MJ designing Peter's costume. I think it's great.
I also think
I love that his daughter. I've always loved that. Like, the second issue, like, oh, his daughter figured it out. His daughter's like, oh, it's scary, like, and he's like, oh, I need to change the costume. That's great.
It's a great visual evolution. It's a great visual narrative device that, and I also letting his daughter impact his superheroics.
Yeah,
we do see. So Marcy asked, "Do we even see the back logo?" The back logo is briefly seen when he punches the crap out of Bullseye.
It is basically just the 616. It is just the 616 logo.
So my thought process is this, and I know this is going to probably annoy Neil, but I wonder when MJ inevitably finds out.
Oh no, I think that's going to be a fun little jaunt.
I think MJ is going to be like, honey, it doesn't look like a spider. You know, like there will be a small tweak.
Well, I think it does look like a spider, but it's just how you. There are two ways to look at it, I think.
Yeah. Although I gotta say though, the way you're when I look at this splash page,
it looks beautiful.
Looking at it up close.
Yeah, it looks great.
But
do you see what I mean by it kind of looks like an octopus?
It does kind of look like a little bit of an octopus.
If that's the head on the bottom, that's kind of like an octopus a little bit.
You know what?
It's also,
hang on.
It's also a kind of a visual representation of this is the Spider-Man inverted. Like there's an inversion element to it.
Hang on,
where he's crawling down. Where he, every other spider logo pretty much is. He's crawling up. This is like a visual representation. He's crawling down.
The only person I know who's done that is Joe Quinones in Zdarsky's Spectacular when he did that Amazing Fantasy.
Yeah.
Can I?
Joe Quinones did that in that. He had Peter
to differentiate between the two.
Can I offer maybe a evolution theory that Adam's pointed out this looks like an octopus, and people have been theorizing that the nanotech suit's going to become Venom, or this universe's Venom. What if it's this universe's Dr. Octopus who takes the technology?
Potential.
And this is visual foreshadowing.
And the kind of using the nanotech arms that we saw with both the previous Ultimate Auto, especially later on.
This is me spitballing, by the way. I have no idea if this is what's going to happen. I just think it's an interesting.
It's going to be interesting to see if look. There's a brief period of time where they were trying to make Harry into potentially a hero, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we're going to see the kind of anti-hero Harry here and that story, and then eventually they become best friends, but then because the tragedy strikes, or Harry does something that Peter just can't, and Peter's moral code cannot overcome.
I do think that Harry is going to be the catalyst for a big tragedy in his and Peter's life and probably Harry's life. I'm hinting at like I think Harry's gonna accidentally kill Gwen, who is apparently his wife in this.
My thought process is,
Or Harry kills Kingpin, and Peter, despite knowing how bad of a person Kingpin is, cannot allow himself to justify that death.
but you know what? I've kind of brought this point up in the other show, but Mr. C in that other show's Discord brought up a good point that how do you prosecute associates of the people who control the world? And I
That was brought up in the issue.
I made a joke that that Harry either just is going to hold Bullseye and Super Gitmo or just domed him when Peter wasn't looking. My thought process is that Harry's going to kill Kingpin and then immediately take his place. And that's going to be what drags Peter into the whatever line-wide crossover Maker War ends up being.
Mm-hmm.
What I like, Adam, about your viewpoint on everything was I just because of 40 plus years of me seeing that logo a certain way, like I didn't think of it being inverted, and looking at it from that perspective, it makes his chest spider like kind of more predatory, like it's dangling down going after something, and I hadn't really interpreted it that way before, and it's kind of cool to look at it from that perspective and see it in a new light. But we don't get a good look at the back spider in this at all. Like you see a little leg here, and then in another panel it's not even colored in all the way.
They just forgot.
It's really faintly drawn, but his whole back is blue in that panel. But it looks like it's the traditional one, and which makes me think of since we're talking about like coloring and stuff, my copy, I don't know if anyone else had this problem. I had two pages that were really faded. One was in the not the bugle scene, and it was just like two panels at the bottom were really weird. I'm like, that's a choice. But then it was a whole page after the crane falls on Spider-Man that was just completely washed out. And I was wondering if anyone else had that in their physical copies, or I just got
I didn't see it, but
because it's not reflected that way digitally at all. So
I think you got a defective copy. Sorry, Javi.
But I mean, that was on top of one of our many discussions today, talking about the longevity of comics and should they be black and white or cheaper paper.
Yeah.
Real quick, Zach, but I don't think you were here when I was talking. I kind of want to run by you my idea of what happens to Harry. And well, you're muted.
Sure, I had to pee. Sorry.
No, you're fine. My thought process was that
In your chair?
No, I didn't put a catheter in.
Are you sitting on a toilet, sir?
Welcome to the Spideydude Experience from the toilet.
I got called old earlier, and I made a joke about, needing tennis balls for my walker. Yeah. But maybe I do need Depends now.
My thought process was that Harry kind of takes the logical extreme of the thought process of how do you prosecute associates of the people who control the world. Yeah. And his thought process is, well, what if I kill Kingpin and take his place and I have the power to do something? Because like I've said, this entire thing revolves around how people change with power. And so my thought process is that if Harry kills Kingpin and takes his place in the council or whatever Kingpin's spot in Maker's hierarchy is, that's what drags Peter into whatever line-wide crossover is involved with Maker getting released from the city.
So, I like that. I like that. I like that element too. Also, that element of power, right? What's the whole mantra of Spider-Man?
Great power, great responsibility, baby.
Yes, baby. I mean,
wait, am I blanking? That hasn't really been said in this.
It has not been said.
It hasn't been said, but the theme of power and how
Uncle Ben will say it as he's dying in Peter's arms.
No! Let him live in this.
Ashley is
Here's the thing. Maybe
she's been quiet this whole time. You say Uncle Ben's gonna die, and then she's like, no.
Maybe I'm just thinking. No! Maybe I'm just thinking in the the confines of the usual Spider-Man narrative. Maybe I'm thinking
Right.
about, Across the Spider-Verse and the canon event. But I do think that there's going to be some stuff that's going to get this Peter Parker in a status quo that's a little bit somewhat closer to the 616 as far as
Dude, if
like
it's MJ that does it and bites the dust, everybody's gonna.
Dude, no. Oh no. It can't be that, because you're gonna have people are gonna burn their issues like they did with the Nazi Cap reveal.
I am
Well,
convinced
Marvel still
that,
got their money at that point, so
Yeah, that's true. It does honestly.
You're
None of
burning
this
your
stuff.
own money.
None of this stuff matters because the artists and the creators are already paid. I guess it's just more like, if you want more, then
Well, they do have a royalty system too.
they
get
do.
They get their upfront payment.
See, Marcy gets it. She's pointing out that Richard looks expendable. He's just a little flesh
Man,
thing for the Goblin.
I
to
just
blow
don't.
up.
I don't like the idea. I mean,
You're
it's not.
feeding into his ego there, Marcy.
I think
He's been on this train since day one.
I don't think you see, and I feel like we were once upon a time. I think we were kind of talking about doing a discussion about like, should he be married? Should he have kids? And I feel like this is the problem with giving him kids is like,
They become targets.
yeah, it's like, you don't like it. It gets. This is why I'm not sure about giving him kids in like the main universe, because I feel like some sicko is gonna be like, well, it's time to kill the kid or something,
Okay, just to be clear, this is not me going woohoo child murder. Let's go, boys. This is me taking.
Shit, that got dark real quickly.
This is me assuming that someone will die and teach Peter if not verbally, the responsibility that comes with power.
I don't think the family should be off limits, because I think the family is what makes it different. I honestly think it's like ASM 400, Zach. Like, Aunt May dies and he's having a
should have
about to
never
start a
been brought
family.
freaking back.
So
I will die on that hill.
So Aunt May's dead in this, unfortunately.
Thank God.
And then maybe Uncle Ben is
No.
No.
But then we get to that kind of that pseudo.
Him alone. Let him
we
be
get to
with
that,
Jonah.
We get to a pseudo status quo like in the 90s.
Well, and Marcy brings up a good point that Richard doesn't have to die. Like, Benji lost his hearing in MC too.
Right.
But I do think that
would be unfortunate, but it would be better than murder.
Like I said, this isn't me like salivating at like a child. This isn't me salivating at child gets blown up. This is more me kind of reading Hickman's old playbook and trying to figure out what he's going to do with the character name.
Yeah, I have no idea about that, so I'm sort of, I don't know if I'm on the edge of my seat, but I'm anticipating positive things.
So,
which may be a fool's errand, I don't know.
One other point I want to make, because I brought it up earlier, but I haven't really expanded upon it right quick.
Okay.
Such a great splash page.
I adore. Not only do I adore.
We've talked about this page.
Hang on. I'm bringing it back up for a reason.
Okay.
I adore the subtleties of this page. I love
Spider-Man looks so good there. That's a perfect Spider-Man right there.
The Spider-Man looks great. The fact that Mayday has the little goggles and the scarf.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I love that she dressed up when she's like, okay, let's do the costume. It's like, oh, let's work on the costume, and she dresses up.
One of my favorite issues of Spider-Man is the coda to the Clone Saga. I know. You two can groan at me. You three can groan at me. Ashley don't care. But the issue where it's MJ and Peter and they're swinging through the city.
Yeah,
I've always loved that, and I love the fact that this is a little Mayday kind of inverse of like Into the Spider-Verse also, but I love the girl dad relationship, and Javi and I can kind of speak to this ourselves because we are girl dads. Like, I really, really like that part of the dynamic. Like, listen, I would walk on fiery stones of hell and shards of glass for my kid. And it wouldn't have mattered if she was a boy or girl, but like, it's a little special when it's when it's daddy's little girl. And I just love that dynamic.
Yeah.
Of how much she trusts her dad. And and how much he just the joy in that scene I think is a lot of fun. I also like the references to the other costumes. The Ben Reilly inverse suit, the symbiote suit, which is kind of
it would look better if it was red and gray instead of gray and red or whatever.
Yeah, the inverse. But I like the fun. This book's fun. That's another thing about this book. It's not taking itself overly serious. And I have a blast every time I read it. It just I find little things I like more.
It awakens things in me. I enjoy myself.
Neil's actually enjoying himself.
The cockles of my heart.
Which means, there's hope for Neil yet.
Yeah.
Don't die, Richard.
Okay. We're 2 hours in. We have not done this yet. Let's give grades. Javi, what is your grade?
I'm going to give it an A only because my copies wasn't the best. So Marvel, half a point for your production standards because the digital version doesn't have that problem.
Javi got the bad one.
Javi gives it
but
an A.
I mean, I don't have any complaints on this book. It was other than I want more of it and now, but that's not really a complaint. That's just speaking to how good it was and how much I enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't find any flaws detected. The art's beautiful. The writing is snappy. I enjoy all the character interactions and I'm having fun, which is what I want to do when I read a Spider-Man comic book. I want to be entertained and I want to, feel something. So, yeah, I have no complaints about it other than get a better printer, Marvel.
Ashley, what is your grade?
It's an A+. I didn't have the issues that Javi had. But yeah, I mean, from the first issue of this series, I have loved it. And like he said, I truly want more of it and to continue on this path of how it's been. It's just been fantastic. I love everything about this series so far. So
that's awesome. And that makes me really happy. Not only that I have you on here to talk about it, but also that you're actually enjoying the book. Neil, your grade, my friend.
I'm giving it an A. I'm with Javi. I wouldn't say it's perfect. I had a couple of quibbles with the pacing of the fight scene with Bullseye, but they're like minor nitpicks. This isn't really a comment on the quality of the book, but I think it's gonna be really funny. Like the moment the maker shows up in Ultimate Spider-Man, like all of Spider-Man fans just turn on Hickman immediately for daring to do something that isn't like old Spider-Man stuff.
He wants all the chaos now. All right, Javi, or you already gave a grade. Ashley, so is it me? It's me. It's my turn.
But Adam.
Oh, Adam, your turn. I'm sorry, Adam. What's your grade?
Well, since everyone else, no, I'm just kidding. I think I mean I'll give it an A. I think I need to reread it again. I think it might be on the cusp of an A- right now, but I still, I mean, the art is great. The story is intriguing. There's a lot of, I wasn't expecting the reveal at the end. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point.
The reveal, I wasn't expecting that. Like, I didn't think that, like, going into issue 4, they were going to know what's what. I thought it was just going to be, like, here's Harry Osborn and his wife.
That's
I
Peter
thought they
and-
were going to have
yeah.
like this previously already established relationship.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was gonna be like a comedy of errors where Peter and Harry are like each dashing out to do Spider-Man and Green Goblin things, and then
That would be interesting.
and
yeah.
then Gwen and MJ just exposit about like the theme of power that Hickman is setting up.
Like what
do you
not
think is
getting bit
power?
would make Peter not follow the same educational trajectory. So
Yeah.
then what changed on Harry's side that
exactly.
he still met Gwen but didn't run into Peter somehow?
Didn't they go
Right.
to the same high school in
They did.
616?
Yeah, I believe
No,
so.
they did not go to the same high school. They went to the same
they?
college.
No,
I-
didn't-
Gwen,
I thought-
didn't-
I thought-
No,
wasn't it in the-
Peter
wasn't it in the
or
Gwen Stacy?
Gwen and
Harry did. I'm sorry, Gwen and Harry went to Central.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
exactly. Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
I'm
they knew
sorry.
each other from high school.
Yeah, my bad, Neil. As we'll learn next week in the Shadow of the Green Goblin, we'll see all that dynamic between the two.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, it was good. I wasn't the Green Goblin Spidey Bullseye fight was. It seemed kind of fast to me, but we'll see what happens later.
Mr. Baby in the house.
Mr.
Oh my
Nico,
God.
my man,
The guy,
the,
the
man,
guy
the myth, the
himself.
legend. All right, so my grade is A. I don't give this an A plus because I feel like there wasn't a lot to it, and it was very fast. It was a very fast read, and
Yes,
so
yes.
I think that does ding it a little. But I love the dichotomy with this reveal at the end. I like the fact that
Okay,
Peter-
Zach.
I continue growing the growth with the with Peter. I like the dynamics with the girl dad. I just think it's a really solidly written issue, and I really think it's a good one. So
Question, I know we're wrapping up, but question on the pacing issue. Do you guys feel like it is a pacing issue, or is it because the first issue was double sized and we got so much content? So now that we're 2 issues down the road, like it doesn't feel as meaty because we got so much in that extended first issue.
I wouldn't even call it a pacing issue. It just feels like the fight scene was kind of.
It just
brief.
happened. It came up. I don't know.
Yeah,
To me, I don't know. Does anyone feel that way? They're like, oh, like, well, I know he's like waiting. Peter's waiting for it, but it just feels like, oh, now they're fighting. It's like, okay, here I go.
To
I don't
me,
know.
to me, the book felt in the second issue we had like 2 fight scenes with Shocker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like there was more meat on those 2 fight scenes than
I do
the
think
fight
that
scene with Bullseye.
I think the second issue was perfect. Honestly, something about that one was just
It
how that one went. It was
still
Perfect.
fumbling though, like him still trying to figure out what he
Yeah.
was supposed to be doing. I felt like he kind of needed a bit of a win in this like one because he did get kind of played by the Shocker a little bit. So
Yeah.
him kind of teaming up with Goblin, I saw a little bit differently than you guys did. Like, yeah, it was very quick, but he still needed that win, I guess. Because that's like a little bit of an empowerment for him too. Like he sat around, waited, was trying to like do his like crime fighting and like whatever, and he needed something to keep him interested in wanting to do this. So though it may have been quick, I mean,
This
because
is
he seemed like he
boring.
was, yeah, it's boring and like let's build a house for the birds or whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I felt like he kind of needed this, and his like friendship and stuff with Goblin, if it does progress, like that's also, you know, was included in this. So seeing how it goes from here, I mean, I'm interested to see
Just-
how it goes.
that reminds me really quick. Like Ashley was like, "Oh, the Goblin." It's like I like that we got an explanation for why he's called the Green Goblin in this. Actually,
oh yeah,
Robbie
I
gave
feel
it to
like
him.
I don't. Yeah, because I feel like, oh, why would they call this guy the Green Goblin? Because he's. I mean, he does.
he could be the Emerald Elf.
Yeah, I mean, we're we're initiated. You know, we see this guy on the glider and he's green. And he's got the pointy head, and it's like, oh, he looks like the Green Goblin, and he kind of looks like the Raimi Green Goblin without the the intricacies of the mask. But it's like, well, why would he be called the Green Goblin in this universe? It's like, okay, well, Robbie said it. or whoever it was, Robbie, right?
Yeah, it was.
So, like,
Yeah.
Robbie's the one that came up with according to Peter.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I'm glad that we got that. It's the classic, like, oh, they name the character doesn't name themselves, the media does, but I still like that it's like, oh, we got an explanation for why this figure who is familiar to us, but in this world is different.
So,
And there's a different context for it. I like that there was an explanation for that.
So my final thought on this is this, and this kind of goes off of what Exile says in the chat. He says he will say that Hickman's voice for Peter is such a breath of fresh air. It feels like it's been so long since we've seen the real Peter Parker, and he's finally back. What I feel like here, the difference between what we're seeing with Hickman and what we're seeing necessarily to contrast it with ASM, feels like there's a plan, and we're not flying by the seat of our pants. And I think that because Hickman's allowed to take his time, he doesn't have the pressure of having to produce 2 books a month in the same title, 24 issues a year. That schedule is brutal. That he can kind of do what he's doing here. And so I like his voice for Peter. I think it's, I was concerned. I know there was people that were concerned about it, but I've seen Hickman write Peter before in the 616, and I thought he did fine. There was the Preacher Foundation issue where it was Peter and Johnny, and they were living together as roommates.
And also Avengers.
Yeah, he also did Avengers. So, like, I thought he did a good job with all that. So I think him getting to kind of build this wholesale gives him the freedom to really make get in a very similar way to DeMatteis. He's getting into the head of the character. So, we'll take some final comments, and then we'll be wrapping this episode up. So if you want to throw some comments out, Nico, always a pleasure to see you, buddy. I'm glad you're actually on in the chat right now. We've got about 30 people watching, according to, well, we don't know how much of that is the bots from.
Oh yeah, I was about to say wow, but then the bots.
Thank you, Twitter.
Bots. Thanks, Twitter.
Thank you,
bots.
bots.
Eskenar brings up a good point that Donnie Cates. Well, no, wasn't it supposed to be Zdarsky, not Cates?
No, I think it was Cates.
It was Cates.
Oh,
Cates
was supposed to write Invasion, and then he got.
Well, no.
Accident.
Well, here's the thing. They wanted it was revealed. Zdarsky was like, "Oh, they approached me to write Ultimate," but he was like, "Oh no, Hickman should write it."
Like a Hickman project, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think they made the right choice. So
yeah, I think Zdarsky made the right call, to be honest.
And Nico also is one of the hosts of the Spider-Man Italian Spider-Man Coalition. There we go. I got it right. Also part of the Spider-Man Council.
I was going to say a very important member of the Spider-Man Council.
So,
Friend of the
yeah.
show.
Oh, can we get an Ultimate Jessica Drew to rival?
Oh, okay.
Womp womp womp.
Mommy
Wow.
MJ.
Ashley, your reaction to that?
I gotta say, like that. Well, the Ultimate, the Elizabeth Torquay cover, she just knocks it out of the park on these variant covers. I am interested in the variant cover for this for issue 3. I want to see what MJ's doing in this universe. I think everyone wants to know.
Yeah, like inquiring minds must know.
Many people are asking this.
So,
dude, yeah, it's like, yes, like Nico said, release the Javiverse. That's a foolproof plan for
restore the Hobbyverse.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
A comic binge reference.
It's a dude, yeah. I'm gonna take credit. I coined the phrase Hobbyverse. It's a foolproof plan for Marvel Studios to make millions and billions of dollars with the Spider-Man property on film. So
I was gonna do a Rock joke about millions and millions, but that's now copyrighted by The Rock, and I don't want to get copyright struck.
Billions must die.
What? Memes?
Where's that?
Anyway,
what was it that he said? Like the structure of power is going to change. What was it?
Oh, the hierarchy of power is going to change.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It did to James Gunn.
Yeah,
He
so,
wasn't
okay.
wrong.
He wasn't wrong.
Okay,
He
Marcy
just thought
is
it was going
correct.
to be him.
Marcy
He
is
wasn't
correct.
right
Ultimate Jest
either.
Marcy is correct that Ultimate Jest was great.
Yeah.
Honestly, the fact that she didn't get
Ahead of her
ported over to
time.
the fact that she
More
didn't
or
get
less.
ported over to 616 when Secret Wars happened is kind of weird. But then
I mean, that
know
would
if
have been
it's-
that would have been your first trans like exploration wise. That would have been one of the first true transgender characters, right? Like,
I don't think like explicitly, but the subtext is that Jessica Drew is
right.
technically transgender.
because she's the gender
okay,
swapped through the Parker clone.
Technically,
Yeah.
she is cisgender because it's the gender she was assigned at birth. But because
Right.
she's a clone of Peter, who was assigned male at birth and was turned into a female, that is trans representation, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, they could have used Jess to replace Teresa, which I agree with that. That's probably a better way.
Yeah, well, that's a whole
That's
a whole other can of worms.
rabbit hole.
A whole nother podcast we could
Yeah.
probably talk about. So
Also, we could make a whole segment out of that. Yeah.
we probably could. I know right now it says that we're going to be doing another show tomorrow. That's going to get pushed to next Wednesday. So just so everybody knows, we are not live streaming tomorrow. We're going to live stream our discussions about 3 comics. If you want to throw the card up on the screen, Neil.
Oh, hang on.
But I'm pulling them up right quick. So we got the 45, 46, Volume 6, as well as Ultimate Web of Spider-Man #1. We'll talk about those 3 issues here on the channel. Check us out there. If you are watching us live on YouTube, thank you. If you are listening to us on the audio edition after the fact, thank you as well. Be sure to leave us that 5-star review if you're listening to us on the audio edition. And if you have not already here on the live stream, give us that like, that share, that subscribe. If you're watching us on Twitter, jump over to the YouTube page, give us that like to let us know that you are watching us and participating in this. We really do appreciate it. Want to give our audio shout outs here at the end of the episode. Thanks to Allison, Cindy, Ed, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Jessica, Jurgen, Catherine, Kale, Laura Howard, Blunt Moose, Master Drammond, Phoenician, Scott, Vanessa, Vicky. Thank you guys for your support over on patreon.com. Also want to give a shout out to Greg Williams. He just became a $1 patron, and then RJV Sandrick. I still keep screwing up that name. Also our VIPs, Scott and Sebastian and Vinkman. Thank you guys for your support, as well as our spectacular patron, Sarah. And you see the friendly neighborhood tier up on the screen as well. Thank you guys for all your support over on patreon.com. Got some more stuff coming. Of course, the Patreon first show, me and Neil talking about X-Men. X-Men's really popular right now for some reason because of a certain animated series, right there, Neil?
Yeah. Krakoa's over. Return to 90s.
Return to 90s. If you have not already, check out the Voices from the Eyrie podcast, the show that covers everything Gargoyles. Fun fact, in the latest issue of Gargoyles, you get some visual references to the 2 hosts of the program. We got Javi's show, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, with his son, Jack. Symposium will be coming back very soon. If you have not already checked that out, it's the collaboration we do with Comic Binge, talking about Dan Slott's seminal run on Spider-Man. Speaking of seminal runs, we also have the Sal Buscema Era podcast, which is doing the Web of Music. It'll be another episode covering the end of the Webverse, covering Amazing Spider-Man 2, just in time for the 10th anniversary of that particular show. Then we got, movie. We got Clone Saga Chronicles and Spectacular Radio, the shows that started this very network. We really do appreciate anybody that's listening to this ultimate edition of the Spideydude Experience. And we'll see you guys next time here on the Spideydude Experience. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.